What is going on, everybody? Glad to be back a lot quicker this time, just probably 7 or 8 days since you saw the last episode with Phoenix Kid. Again, what an awesome guy. Great to sit down and spend an hour with him, and he's given us a lot of love on social media as well. I guess I should mention the name of the show and who I am. This is Chronicles of the Asylum. I believe this is episode 12. I should do a much better job of keeping track, but the herbal lung treatments messed that up a little bit. My name is Max Helgeson, the most handsome man in podcasting, and joining me today, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I think his name's Sam Mitchell.
Who the fuck is Sam Mitchell?
Who the fuck is Sam Mitchell?
I still want to know, who the fuck is Sam Mitchell?
But I wanted to do something a little different. You know, usually we bring on the workers, or usually we bring on Gary, but when you're trying to introduce people to wrestlers they may not know, as I've documented a lot, I'm pretty much a deathmatch fan first. I love all the stuff, but I spend most of my free time, which I don't have much, between 4 kids and a 60-hour work week. So I don't know the rest of the wrestlers that well. And we've got the guy that runs the Hoosier Wrestling Alliance page, which I should mention, Chronicles of the Asylum, the award-winning best podcast in independent wrestling, according to Hoosier Wrestling Alliance, which I take that very, very awesome. That pretty much made my week that week. But yeah, we got Sam. So Sam, we got a big card to get into. I got the official legal documents with all the Gary's typos from the message he sent me. But let's talk about the particulars first. So February 28th. By the time you see this, it'll be probably next week or this week. Just insert the dates. Or hey, it could have been 3 months ago. I don't know when you're listening. I'm not your boss. Tickets are $20. VIP is $40. With that $40, you get so much stuff. You get early entry, so you're gonna get a good seat. But you're also guaranteed front row on that $40. Sam sits front row at every damn show, throws streamers, screams at everybody, tries to fight the heels from time to time. I've seen it. It's a good time, and you also get the meet and greet. And with COVID stuff and everything the way it is, meet and greets are so much harder during the intermissions. The guys can only get through a few people. You're pretty much buying your gimmicks, and you're kind of getting out of there. Obviously, they're going to say hey to you, but if you want that picture, if you want that stuff, the only time to really guarantee you're going to get it is to get that VIP. And it's only an extra $20. And I mean, looking at this card, you're going to get 5 hours of entertainment. We'll probably be there until, the bell time is 5. I bet we don't get out of the Emerson until 11, which is going to be brutal because I have a 2.5-hour drive home and a work meeting at 7 a.m. So luckily I am on Central Time, so it saves me a little bit. And remember, doors are at 4:30. Early entry, I think they're going to get in at 4:15 or 4, so that'll get you a little extra time to get in and do what you need to do. So let's get right into it, though, Sam. Let's start with the main event. Justin Kyle, the bear fucking mastiff, the scariest man. The man who on his Twitter page or Facebook the other day said he took his styling from the fucking axe murderer Anderson or Vanderlei Silva. Man, I need to quit drinking before the show. He took his styling from Wanderlei Silva, and he's got Lord Crew for the AWR World title in a street fight. Just. Justin, obviously everybody in the AWR world knows who Justin is, but tell us a little bit about Lord.
Lord he's from Ohio, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's from Ohio.
Michigan.
Yeah.
I knew that.
That's my bad. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
I know that he just kind of started recently doing the deathmatch stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think this isn't going to be a death match, guys. If you're tuning in for a death match on this one, this is going to be a street fight. I think it'll be a little tamer than him and Alex Ocean.
Yeah. Ooh, that was a banger one.
That was if we were on IWTV then, that would have been for sure in the running for IWTV's match of the year.
It would have been for sure, absolutely.
So what can we expect out of Lord? Where do you think his strengths lie? Where is his weaknesses? What can we kind of expect to see out of him?
I mean, going up against a guy like Justin Kyle, I mean, you've seen what Justin can do. We know what he's capable of doing. I like Lord Crew. I've seen his matches in the past, but going up against a guy like Justin Kyle, I mean, everybody Justin fights, he beats them. So
he kills them. They die.
Somebody mentioned he's kind of like the Goldberg of the independent scene, and I'm like, he is. He truly is.
I would say that's a very fair assessment. He, I mean, you're talking about a cage fighter who I believe had 15 or 18 wins on the Midwest, which is a really tough regional circuit. I mean, you're dealing with kids from Iowa who have wrestled since the day they were born, and he's far more wins than he does losses. So you're dealing with a crazed beast in there.
I wouldn't want to stand across the ring against him.
No. Anytime Justin's announced with another company on Facebook, I always make sure to put under the go to the other guy's Facebook page and put a fresh little post on his wall. Justin's going to kill you. Yep. I want to let him know that they are bringing the most dangerous man in Indianapolis into their backyard. Exactly. And when you're talking about when you're talking about the best in the Midwest, Justin Kyle shows that we are truly the best in the Midwest because we've got the best champ in the Midwest. I'd put him against anybody from out east. I'd put him against any of those guys out in Southern California or out west, Colorado. Bring who you got. I know. There's a company maybe out in that Virginia area that's got some tough dudes and some deathmatch boys. I got news for you. You don't want none of this smoke. When you look at our card, you don't want none of this smoke. So if you're picking a winner in this one, are you going with Justin?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Without a question. I mean, no disrespect to Lord Crew. I know he's a great guy. I know he just made his ICW No Holds Barred debut. So he's kind of got that, energy flowing right now. But going against Justin Kyle, it's, you can't beat Kyle.
It's pretty much who's the next guy we have to sacrifice to Justin. And I know I get reached out to fairly regularly on Facebook. Guys like, hey, I want to come in. I'll wrestle Justin. What do you want me to do? I'm like, first of all, I've never even heard your name. I'm not the matchmaker. I am on the booking committee, self-appointed to the booking committee. But I can give your name to Gary. But the last thing you want to do is say, I'll wrestle Justin. I would rather say, hey, I'll clean up all the glass with my toothbrush and brush my teeth afterwards than have to wrestle Justin. So that's I'm going to take Justin as well in that. I see that going about 15 minutes. I see it being stiff as shit. And I wouldn't be shocked if that just turns into a true street fight. Let's shift.
If any of the fans out there, if you see it coming your way, move.
Yeah, that's a lot of dude because Lord's not small. Justin's not small. That's a whole lot of dude coming your way. And remember, you are responsible for getting out of the way of the wrestlers. Don't sit there. Let's talk about that for a second right now. Masks are 100% required. If you're not wearing a mask, I have to do a job at the show. I have to interview wrestlers, and you need to see being the most handsome man in podcasting. You need to see my face. The wrestlers have to have a mask. Can't really wrestle in a mask. So we need to be able to have our masks off and be safe. I have 3 kids under the age of 8. Everybody's got families. Everybody's got real jobs. Gary does pay well, but we still got to go to that 9 to 5 gimmick on Monday. So I can't take that back there. I can't take that back to my wife. My wife doesn't want coronavirus, chlamydia showing up in our bed because she knows she got it from me. So just, throw the mask on and be smart. And the other thing, too, is if the wrestlers are coming your way, get the fuck out of the way.
Move.
You got nothing to prove on how tough you are if Justin Kyle and Lord Crew are coming at you. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get banged up.
True. Although I don't mind getting hit with shit, though. That's just me personally.
Right. Well, I think the legal team at AWR would much prefer you just get the hell out of the way. And I mean, it is cool. There's nothing like when I was at another company show a while back, and one guy ran in at the very end of the show and broke a whole bunch of tubes over their champ. It was here in Chicago. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what show I'm talking about. And I happened to be like trying to leave and beat all the cokeheads out into the parking lot, so I didn't have to like almost die trying to get out of a Parks Department parking lot.
Yeah.
And I got coated in glass, and I'm like, that was fairly cool actually. I'm okay with that.
Time.
No, I went to wrestling school. I've been around a little bit, but yeah, it was the
first covered with glass from light tubes.
yeah, it's you don't forget it. So let's roll into the next match. I think this one's got as for guys that aren't near as big as these two, it's got the potential to be just as stiff and just as nasty. And that's Jake Christ versus Akira, and fans bring the weapons match.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, you've got. I mean, Jake has been around. You know, him and his brother broke in in 2010, probably 2011.
Around that area, I believe so.
And they've been, they kind of have been the industry standard for a while as far as Midwest guys that aren't scared. I'm sure they would claim Kentucky more than the Midwest, but I'll claim Kentucky in the Midwest. I know they think they're the Mid-South, but I can be in Kentucky in an hour and a half from Indianapolis. You're still in the same region if you're an hour and a half away. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, you got Jake and Akira. Akira, the kid from Central Indiana, that's blown up and turned into a rock star, kind of after one night with some light tubes against his back against Reed. So
that was the biggest moves I saw all year long.
Yeah,
the dive was just nuts.
Yeah, and you've seen Akira for a while because we've had Akira since show one. Akira's not anything new to the AWR fans. This is his home. This is where he didn't start here, but Gary found him and put the rocket up his ass, and now he's going on to big and better things. And Akira's going to text me later and be like, "He didn't put a rocket up my ass. I put a rocket up my own ass." But
I will never.
My show, I can say what I want.
I will forget the night, the Welcome to the Asylum show when him and John Wayne Murdoch went against each other. Oh my gosh, those doors, man, that they hit each other with, those sounded like gunshots going off.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, Akira's a reject. Like, Akira probably rode there. I would guarantee Akira rode there with John and rode back. And they did that to each other for our entertainment. For all intents and purposes, they did that to each other for our entertainment. He loves John. John helped train him. Yep. He does not like Jake Christ. Does anybody like Jake Christ? I mean, he's one of the most hated heels in wrestling. The guy's swarmy. He went to Nashville and did some shit. Sure. But he's not there anymore. And I think Akira's gonna, welcome him to the Asylum. I know Jake's been in already, but
it's gonna be a match that I think everybody's gonna be talking about for a long time. I really think so.
So we talked about Justin and Alex Ocean from what show was that? Huh?
I'm
not supposed to say that show anymore. I got some heat. But, being one of the potentials for match of the year, I think this will be on the list at the end of the year. The only thing that might hold it back is we're in February. But Jake and Akira are going to go out there and bring it down. And this gives us another chance. If you're coming to the show, throw a couple weapons in the car, guys. We love to have them. I love coming out there. Yeah, this guy he's going to need a rider truck to bring all the stuff we were just talking about. Have you had a chance to work on the keyboard with thumbtacks on it like we talked about?
Yep. I haven't got it put together just yet, but I do have all the ingredients for it.
Dude, I am so excited. So a little behind the curtain, Sam and I were texting, I was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was watching old death matches on Facebook or something, and the Mondo or the White Beater and Zandig match was on, and Beater hits Zandig with a keyboard with thumbtacks on every key, and for the rest of the match, Zandig has like the Z, the S, the X, and the C stuck to his back. It is perfect.
It's nasty, but it's.
I'm like, I know a guy that could probably do this and has the time on his hands to do that because there's a lot of keys on a keyboard. You're going to need a minute. So who's your take on that one?
Ooh, you know, I respect Jake for what he's done. Been wrestling for many years. Know that he actually is a big fan favorite in Indianapolis. Back in the old Insanity Pro wrestling days,
Really?
he got a big pop from crowd. I think him and his brother both wrestled with IPW. So
I think they
yeah,
had the IPW tag team titles for a minute.
if I'm not yeah, I believe you're right. So Jake, wherever Jake goes, there's always a pop. People love Jake Christ, and I'm one of them. Like I love seeing what he does. But then you got Akira, like you said. Akira has just been. I mean, I'm wearing the hat, So uh, I saw Akira, like you were talking when he started with AWR, and seeing him grow and just become this big star overnight. And it's so awesome to see, man, because he's such a good guy and works so hard, and he deserves the recognition that he gets. So, yes, Jake is good. He has the experience, but I think Akira is going to take the win. I got to go Akira.
And I'll go opposite with you on this. I think the time spent in Nashville working for Dixie, as well as Jake's just been up and down the road. I don't think. No offense to Akira, I love him, but I don't think Akira can bring anything in that Jake hasn't seen 10 times. We're talking a guy that he's held heavyweight titles in other promotions in Indiana, maybe similar, closer to Kentucky. He's held titles in Ohio, and I think he had the OVW title at one point. He's had X Division titles. The guy's done it all. I just kind of think Jake's going to have it for him. And while we are going into Akira's backyard of deathmatch stuff, it's not a deathmatch, and that's something I think we need to focus on too. Is this will not be a deathmatch. There will not be panes of glass. There will not be. It's fans bring the weapons. It's going to be much more similar to something you would have seen in probably '99 in ECW or like 2001 in CZW in a non-deathmatch show. I think if we were going to call this a straight deathmatch and we had six panels of glass out there and 200 light tubes, I think that's a cure all day. I think in a hardcore match, which is what this is going to be, I think you got to go with the guy the guy that's been on weekly TV for a couple of years probably is going to have it.
We'll see. We shall see. It's going to be great. Depending on either Akira wins or Jake wins, the fans win. That's it.
And here's one thing I'll tell you: both of these guys are going to walk back up that ramp and in onto the stage, and when they get in the back, they're going to look like they went through a car accident. They're going to have gone through the meat grinder. So, while it won't be a death match, I'd imagine they'd have both rather have done a death match. And like we said earlier, Jake has done death matches. Jake's been in TOD.
Oh yeah.
And done well, showed well for himself. So if this does turn into a death match, Jake's capable of handling that. And Jake routinely wrestles some of the better wrestlers in the Midwest on a regular basis. I'm trying to talk myself into Akira. I'm going to stick with my guns here and take Jake.
All right.
One thing I wanted to tell everybody is Gary was going to come on. This is going to be a kind of a three-headed thing, but he had some stuff come up, and I don't know why it dawned on me to say it then, but Gary, we know your grandma's got some stuff going on, and your wife had a tooth pulled today, so prayers to both of them. And guys, if you got a second, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but the power of prayer is one of those things that can always help people. So lift them up a little bit when you got a minute. Whether you pray to God or you pray to a goat, I don't give a shit. Everybody's got to talk to somebody, right? So then we've got rolling out next. This is kind of, with the next two matches really are kind of what we talked about, last week with Phoenix Kid of that first generation and second generation, which is I put the next, the two next matches as a first generation guy and then a second generation girl. She's kind of trained by the first gen and came in that second gen. But we've got Dale Patrick's, the Deathmatch Jackass, and Mickey fucking Knuckles. You Skyped out a little bit on me. What'd you say there?
baby boy.
Yeah. And then Mickey fucking Knuckles in a Boards of Bullshit match. Walk me through what you think is going to happen. I want to hear your side.
Dale is not going to go easy on her. I know that for sure. I recently watched the MDK Death Hour, and Mickey Knuckles said that she really wanted to fight Dale at some point. And, G-Raver was originally supposed to be in this. Unfortunately, he's not now. She took his place, and I think it's a great replacement. I really think it is. She has been in the ring with some of the greatest deathmatch competitors in the business. Like, she has literally walked up right to dudes and just, gave them a big old punch right in the face. She ain't afraid to fight anybody.
Right, and I think I don't ever look at our cards as it's like the guys out east say, cards subject to change. Shit fucking happens. These guys have full-time jobs. Other people's cards change, and whoever these guys commit to first is usually who they're going to book. When somebody's date changes, but they were signed with them first, they're going to take that date, and we're going to get G-Raver back. There's another guy who missed a date for us from out east, and he's going to come back as well. They owe us that. We've fulfilled our end of the bargain, and now they need to do that. And I truly believe both of these guys will. But I don't think the card got any softer losing Raver and adding Mickey.
Nope.
It'll be a different style fight, and I worry about Dale. Dale's training for a fight with a very technical pro wrestler who happens to choose to do death matches in G-Raver, and now he's got a brawler. He's got a chick that's going to want to come in and set up 2 chairs in the middle of the ring and bar fight. That won't be scared to do anything and can pretty much do it all. And as I look at this card, I see at least 2 of her trainees on here as well. So her fingerprints are all over this card, which is really, really cool.
As far as, who wins the match go, that's going to be tricky. I know Dale's had the history of, winning several times in AWR, but
I don't think Dale. I can't think of a loss that Dale has in a singles match.
Not in a singles match, not that I'm aware of.
He doesn't have one. I keep track. But yeah, Dale is undefeated in singles competition. Mickey's, coming off a loss to Charlie. But it's not like he's, we're not just feeding Dale a jobber. There's no jobbers in AWR, but this is going to be a rough night. I'm going to take Dale, and I think this set so here I'm going to fantasy book a little bit. I'm going to take Dale as long as whoever this mystery motherfucker that keeps showing up in the mask stays the fuck out and lets us wrestle.
Exactly.
If this guy shows up, sticks his nose where it doesn't fucking belong, and interferes with Dale, you never know what's going to happen. Mickey could win, and I'm going to take a little bit of an issue here with AWR security. How does this guy keep getting in the building? We've got to do a better job. We have a professional wrestling company here that's on pace with anybody else on IWTV. But somehow you're letting this jabroni in a mask come in and fuck with our baby boy, with our one of our guys that's probably in 2 years not going to be with the company because he's going to be on TV every Monday or Wednesday night. We gotta step up and do better because this guy's gonna end up hurting Dale, and we just can't have that. So I'm gonna take Dale Patrick's in this, and I think I don't want to say it's gonna be easy, but I think Dale will be able to be in the driver's seat like 60-40.
Yeah, I could see that, but Mickey won't go down without a fight. That's for sure.
If nothing else, bleed on it. She's gonna bleed all over him and let him know he was there or she was there.
Exactly.
And I remember, so I was just thinking of a funny story that Neil Cutter told me at Rotten to the Core. He's like, they always tell you don't take mark photos in the back. And when you're coming in, so my first show, Skills grabs me and he's like, hey, we need to talk. He's like, listen, if the girls are up here, give them their space, blah, blah, blah. And don't take mark pictures. It's the last thing you can do. I'm going to have a really hard time with Mickey Knuckles there not being like, can we take a picture? But
I will say meeting her at the Revolution show back in October, That was a dream come true for me. Like, I've always been a fan of hers, so being able to see her in person, that was really awesome.
Stung-a-lung, sting. They'll super kick the fan.
Oh, super kick.
Sam
Whoever the
Mitchell!
fuck that guy.
Oh, Sam motherfucking Mitchell!
And it was my birthday weekend too, so that was kind of like a cool birthday gift, you know.
Yeah, we're birthday buddies. Yeah, because you're middle of October birthday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. We're birthday homies. Our parents fucked around the same time. That's what that means.
There you go. That's
Your
right.
mom got pounded through the mattress the same time my mom got pounded through the mattress. My mom does hate it when I talk about that shit. And she'll listen to the show and text me and be like, "Can you stop talking about that stuff?"
I think my mom's gonna watch this. She's gonna hear that.
Yeah. It's so I grew up in Fort Wayne, well in Auburn, but I-69 runs right through Fort Wayne and Auburn. Routinely, I'll text my mom and be like, "Hey, what's the name of that highway that runs through Auburn again?" I can't remember. She'll say, I-69. I'm like, nice. You're such an immature jackass.
You got it.
And the best thing, a quick story. So when I was like 20, I was just on I was 20. I was home from playing hockey, and I was at the fire department, just kind of hanging out and making a little side money. And it was my parents' like 25th wedding anniversary. Yeah, so I'd have been 21. And they went down to French Lick to the resort and stuff. And my mom was on the board of directors for the fire department. And my mom has a pretty important job in town. And it's part of the reason I moved is growing up in Auburn. Auburn's a small fucking town. My mom knew everyone. So it's one of those things where I wanted to get out of where my mom knew everybody. Because my mom, I wanted to be a firefighter. My mom could have gotten me a job in the fire department. I would have rather gotten it on my own merit. But anyways, I'm sitting at the fire station, working a shift or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, where's your parents at this weekend?" I'm like, "Oh, they went to French Lick to a sex ranch." And everybody's like, I'm like, "Yeah, they went to a sex ranch." I'm like, apparently they don't think they can fuck enough at my house. So they went to a sex ranch. So my mom gets back the next week. And she's our chief goes, "Steph, where did you and Mike go?" And I'm like, "They went to a sex ranch." And my mom turns like 30 shades of red. And she's like, "Yeah, well, we try to keep it quiet, but every now and then you just got to get to a hotel where you don't have to worry about waking up the kids." So she's putting it back on me a little bit.
Nice.
If you can't make your mom uncomfortable, who can you make uncomfortable, On that note, let's move on to the next one. And this is a guy that was in the original King of Death matches. He's wrestled everywhere. He's been to Japan probably 100 times. The dude has wrestled in probably every state between him and Corp going up and down the highway. I kind of credit him and Corp of inventing the U.S. deathmatch world. I don't think there's another guy in southern Indiana that would claim, since he promoted the first deathmatch tournament in the continental United States, that he did. But before that, so a little bit of a deathmatch history for everybody. Before that, we're talking about Man-to-Man Pondo, obviously. Pondo and a couple other guys were going on the road to a lot of the indies. When it was, you're still talking 93, 94, when running outlaw shows was still something that it wasn't as big as it was in the 80s or in the 70s when Macho and those guys were running outlaw shows and legit had to worry about the NWA showing up and shooting them. But still, outlaw shows were still something that, we're technically an outlaw show. We don't belong to any bigger company, even though the NWA is a shadow of itself. AWR is technically an outlaw company. And that's kind of what I dig about it. We're not owned by anybody. I know, ROH would like to claim that, they're still an indie and stuff, but ROH is owned by a media conglomerate. TNA is owned by a media conglomerate. Those are not indies. They cannot claim that. We're indies and we're outlaws. And, there's a guy in Kentucky that doesn't like outlaw mud shows, and I say he can. There's a great shirt with him with X's on his eyes and stuff. It's hanging up in my closet. I should have worn it tonight. But
I've seen it. I love it.
Anyways, Pondo and those guys, they went on the road and did deathmatch. They did a deathmatch. The three of them would kind of roll around in a car and do a deathmatch. And then, they were already happening in Japan a little bit, but they introduced those to the United States. So literally deathmatch wrestler in my mind, deathmatch wrestler in the United States, #1, Madman Pondo, is coming to the Asylum for the first time ever.
Wait, I'm so excited, man. Like I remember when I first got into the deathmatch, watching it, he was one of the guys that I would watch hours on DVDs and stuff of watching him. Did you ever see the match that him and Necro Butcher had? It was
it
a
a Mid-South, or
200.
was that
Yes. Yep. It was 200 light tubes.
in the old gymnasium that they would run that said like it had like some school name in the background the whole time, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
That has to be one of the bloodiest matches I've ever seen. Just the that Madman Pondo has done in his career, what he's went through. Of course, you heard about the pencil story, right? The pencil board.
Oh yeah. That was one of the first shoot interviews I ever saw. Was him talk? It's him on YouTube. I'm like, I was at my old job and just Googling deathmatch, shoot interviews, which is how I ended up with the cult stuff and all that other shit. But we'll get it's a story for another day. And I found that interview with him, sitting there with a microphone. I had driving to a Yankees game and had a pencil lit up my ass.
Yeah, that's
a little differently. And Pondo's like an amazing person too. I remember seeing him wrestle for the first time here in Chicago at a Resistance show, which is Billy Corgan's company. So not anymore. A couple of guys named the Barons own it. I think it's kind of defunct after the one light tube and one box deathmatch tournament final.
I remember that.
That was I worked that show as their podcast and backstage interviewer. It was rough.
I saw a lot of hate for that on Facebook.
Oh, dude, I've never been assaulted so bad on Facebook Messenger. It got pretty rough. I'm like, man, these people are mean. But even that night, I'd seen Pondo. Like, I'd interviewed him for my old show once and talked to him a couple times. But he's like, hey, why don't you give this girl a ride back to the promoter's house? I'm like, I ain't trying to give him not understanding what he was trying to do. And he's like, no, dude, you should take this girl back to the promoter's house. She wants to ride with you. And I'm like, oh, that's what's up, Pondo. Good looking out. It turned out to not go great, but one, wedding ring, and not trying to ruin my life, but Pondo's still looking out.
But I've heard he's an amazing person. Yeah, I've heard he's a good person. I'm looking forward to meeting him. But
I would, and I'll tell anybody that's, hang on, chair's not real comfortable. I had to readjust. I'll tell anybody that's coming out, bring a little extra cash because you're going to want to get that book of his and you're going to want to get it autographed. It'll be well investment.
I'm going to get one.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And this is as good a time as any. Let's finish this match and then I'll get to that. So he's got Remington Roar. Rem is a beast of a man, and you know a lot more about him than I do, so I'll let you go ahead and explain Remington to everybody.
Remington Roar is a beast. The first time I saw him, I was really impressed with, his the in-ring abilities. The last match, I believe he fought against Karam at the Revolution show. Yeah. And, man, they just went back and forth with the chops, and one of my favorite matches of the night. I personally talk with Rem a lot, and he's ready for this match, man. Will this be Rem's first trip into the Holy Grail of death matches? Yep.
Nothing like meeting the guy that invented U.S. death matches in your first death match.
Dude, he told Gary he wanted him. He said he wanted a death match. So he was originally going to fight John Wayne Murdoch, the Duke of Hardcore. He went
from IWTV Wrestler of the Year.
Yep. He went from fighting one deathmatch legend to another. That's fucking awesome.
There's no such thing as a night off either. In AWR, we don't have nights off. There's no jobbers. We don't bring in these kids that smile real big and let you beat them up. Pondo might...
sorry.
No, you're good. Pondo might be up there in age, But what he's going to lack in speed and quickness, makes up for in spade in ring experience and knowledge. Pondo's probably, so I'm 35. Pondo's probably been in a wrestling ring 35 years.
Probably.
I mean, the guy's just been around. I don't think he's even been wrestling 35 years, but he's just been, he's been around forever. The dude's been there, done that. What's Remington going to do that he hasn't had done? I mean, we're literally talking to a guy that's been to Japan with, he went to Japan with fucking John Zandig. I mean, can you imagine the amount of drugs that were consumed on a trip like that, first of all?
I'm sure a lot.
I should probably go with him next time. You know what they say, don't do drugs without me.
Yeah.
We got here at AWR, we're known for herbal lung treatments, and that's medicine.
Yep.
And cocaine
right.
just makes it so you can drive back after you're at a wrestling show for 7 hours.
That's terrible.
I'm busting Sam's ass because I know he's a straight edge guy, and I'm not. So, but yeah, so yeah, like you said, Rem's a beast of a man. In my opinion, when you're dealing with the legend, though, he's probably going to come up a little short. I think he'll learn a lot, and I think he'll be a lot better in his next death match. But I'm going to go ahead and take Pondo.
Yeah, I mean, Pondo is the choice, of course, because of the experience. But Rem, I'm telling you, Remington Roar, he's ready. I mean, like I said, I've talked to him, and he is going to go all out with this one. He's told me that he's bringing a few special weapons with him. And I don't know if you saw, I shared, I have a barbed wire trampoline, and he said he wants to use that. So we're going to see what he does.
And Gary might cut this out of here because I don't even know if I'm supposed to say it or not. But I've heard a rumor that there is a Kenzan going to be making its way to the Emerson Theater. And
the rumor might be true.
And from what I've been told, the plan is to place that Kenzan about right here on Pondo, and Pondo's stop sign will be used to drive that into Pondo's forehead.
Oh, wow.
That's just what I'm hearing. That's the rumor on the street. What the kids are saying on the street here in Lowell, Indiana.
As the fan, I would love to see that.
That would be pretty great. So let's keep rolling. And that's obviously going to be a death match. As we said, we've got the innovator of death matches versus Remington Roar in his first one, but the dude's a beast. And he's kind of what I've said death matches have needed for a while now, is this massive guy that's physically intimidating and scary. John Wayne Murdoch, Reed Bentley, Aiden Blackheart are all big, scary-looking dudes.
They are.
But we need more of those guys. We need more Dan Math-looking dudes, Schlack-looking dudes to get into freaking death matches. And then I almost just said his real name, but oh man, I can't think of it. What's his work name? The other guy from Kentucky with the red hair. I can't think of his power lifter, always putting up a lot of weight. I can't think of his wrestler name. I can't. Shane Mercer. Thank you. All I can think of is his real name. Shane Mercer. He's another beast, but again, he's not overly tall. And Roar's a big dude all around, and I think that's I'm excited to see some big guys get back into death matches.
Now, that is a match that I would love to see down the road. Shane Mercer versus Remington Roar.
I have to be on the booking committee. I'm on the booking committee. I can do that.
Make it happen.
I can text Gary, and he can ignore my text, which is usually what happens. The booking committee meetings usually involve Gary and I sitting in a room getting stoned and forgetting what we were talking about. And we end up, running out and getting blizzards, and then, I have to leave. That's pretty much how the day goes. That's a booking committee meeting, but I still think that's a more functional booking committee than WCW ever had.
You got room for one more? Because I love that.
You're like, I don't want to smoke weed with you guys, but I will go get blizzards.
Well, see, growing up, man, I've always done that. Like when I used to play the old WWE games, I would always love to create my own shows and whatnot. And I've had fantasy shows and whatnot. So to be match booking, that's awesome.
What you have to do is you have to invite yourself, and then just jam your ideas down Gary's throat until he's just finally like, all right, fuck it, Max, I'll listen. And I still don't think he listened. I've not seen too many of my booking committee ideas. The committee is broken at best. We got to get back on. We got to get back on task because we are 40 minutes in and we still have way more matches to talk about. This match has legit potential to be match of the night. I hope we kick off the gate with it and just all three of them walk back through the curtain and say, follow that, fuckers. Because we've got Mitch Onyx, Aaron Atlas, and Charlie Cruel in a three-way. I think it's got the potential. I mean, the amount of time that people spend in the air in this match is going to be probably equivalent to the amount of time people spend with their feet on the ground. Mitch and Aaron are both not scared to fly. Aaron, if you haven't seen Aaron in a while, the kid has bodied up like crazy. I'm sure he's eating like 6 steaks a day. Bodied up and really put some size on. I know he's kind of got a chip on his shoulder now. Like I've always said, I was never a Hulk Hogan fan. I was a Jake Roberts fan. I like the bad guys. I like the assholes, and we're kind of seeing that out of him. And I hope he gets out there and he smacks the shit out of the two of them. And I want to see more Aaron Atlas. And I think Aaron's got the potential, if he wants, he's going to have to prove, I see Aaron in that Revolutionary title. I see the Revolutionary belt as like our Intercontinental title. You guys prove themselves there, but you're going to have to prove yourselves in a couple of different things. This is AWR. This isn't I can go out and fly. I can go out and do death matches. I can go out and work strong style. I can go out and do a street fight. You got to be able to do it all in AWR. So we need to see Aaron or Mitch or Charlie. Charlie's, the death match she had with Aiden back in September?
Yes.
When I was fairly certain I watched Aiden's arm break. When his arm went through the Jersey barrier and bent like his wrist touched his elbow. I don't know how he didn't have a broken arm.
I will say this. I don't know if you saw it or not, but after the pin, I actually ran over there to the ring. I had tape with me, a big thing of tape with me, because I thought that he had actually torn his arm open from hitting the light tube. So I was worried too. I thought he fucked his arm up. I really did.
That was one of those nights where there's like 2 or 3 spots where I'm standing in the back. That's when we were still upstairs. And it was me, Akira, and I think Alex Ocean was standing next to us. And we're watching and we're like, oh God, we need to get somebody get 911 and hold your finger on send. Because we're about to need an ambulance. And I, for 10 years as a firefighter and EMT, Alex is like shoving me down the steps. Get down there. I'm like, kayfabe, bro, kayfabe. Let's figure out what happens. And a broken arm's not going to get miraculously better because I get down there 30 seconds earlier. Let's let things play out. But Aiden walks back up the steps, and the only thing he asked for was an herbal lung treatment. So obviously the medicine works.
Yep.
We got to clear the smoke out every now and then, but the herbal medicine. Herbal lung treatments, herbal pulmoid medicines definitely work. So I'm going to take Aaron.
He really is. Aiden is, arguably one of the most underrated deathmatch guys there is. But Charlie, props to her for what she did in that match too.
With her mom there. Her mom was in the front row. Akira had to hold her mom back twice.
She had gussets in her head.
Yeah. So who are you taking in this one?
I got to go with Charlie Cruel.
All right, I'm going to take Aaron Atlas. Mitch Onyx, I do love you, dude, but I just think I like this mean side of Aaron Atlas we're seeing, the cocky side of Aaron Atlas, and I just think that's going to be a lot to deal with. But again, this is, like you said before, this is a match where we're all going to win. This will not be a WWE 3-way where guys hide outside the ring and wait for this. This is going to be a fist fight with 3 people in it. And don't think that either of these guys are going to take it easy on Charlie just because she's Charlie. They're probably going to be harder on Charlie because she's Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
So then we've got kind of the Days of Our Lives playing out in the next one. We've got Shooters Don't Die and Original Sin. And for those of you that, if you're listening to this show, I'm sure you're following along pretty well with the vignettes and stuff. But Freddie took off to Florida, kind of left Miles hanging. But, you know, I've actually talked with Freddie and Miles lately, and Miles told Freddie he was leaving. Miles knew all this and is just not taking it right. He's taking it very personal and kind of being weird about it. And Freddie's like, you know, Miles just needs to relax, and Miles is too uptight. And I kind of see where Freddie's coming from. And I think Miles is just being maybe a little bit possessive, or a little bit too, going to be a little too controlling of Shooters Don't Die. And, you know, that's a problem when you're at the level these guys are. You know, I don't think the Rockers, they had a little bit of communication issues in the barbershop, but the Midnights, the Rock and Rolls, the Steiner Brothers, you know, your elite tag teams could work through this, and I hope to see that. I think one big thing I'm very passionate about is lifting people of color's voices. You know, I as a white guy, I didn't have to deal with some of the struggles these guys do, and Shooters Don't Die allows us to do that. And you know, I don't want to see them squander and waste some of the stuff they have, and I hope things can work out. And then, I mean, but dude, they better figure it out, because they have a tough draw.
Yes.
This is not again, I've said it before. I'll say it again throughout the last 3 matches on the card, or 4 matches on the card. This is not an easy night out for them. This is not a WWE house show in 1994 where you got Iron Mike Sharp over there. They got Original Sins. And those dudes can bang, and they can do whatever you need to do. If you want to get out there and get in a street fight, I feel like Original Sin's probably gotten in a street fight or two. If you want to go technical and flippy, Original Sin can definitely do that. This is another thing we're probably going to need to call the Indianapolis airport and get flight clearance for, because I feel like between the 4 of these guys, there's going to be some time logged in the air.
Absolutely.
I hope are you planning on bringing streamers?
Of course. You know me.
You're right. We're going to need a streamer or 2 for this one too. You know, this is I kind of see this one going. If I had to break this match down, I can truly see this as a, like, either best of the Super Juniors or a J Cup kind of thing coming down. You know, it's going to be very contested. It's going to be very stiff. It's going to be very, very stiff. None of these guys, and Shooters Don't Die and Original Sin don't like each other. There's some real legit background heat. This work could turn into a shoot very quickly. And those are 4 tough dudes that we're going to have to send. You know, we're going to have to send the Bull Mastiff out there to deal with that. Kind of walk us through how you see it happening. I am out of beer. You vamp for a minute, and I'm going to go get another beer.
All right. You know, Original Sins, absolute great tag team. For any of the fans that saw the Revolution show, they had the big doors, ladders, chairs tag team match. That was awesome. I love the Original Sins. I love them, but I know that Shooters, I know that Freddie and Miles are having some issues, but I could see them, you know, regaining the titles, because Shooters Don't Die, man. They're the best there is, in my opinion. I mean, as far as tag teams go here, they're at the top.
They're the best in the Midwest for sure.
They are, man. And, you know, I've mentioned on the Hoosier Wrestling page, watching Freddie and Miles kind of
1,800 strong now, right?
Around that area.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this show, you're definitely a Hoosier Wrestling, a fan of wrestling in the Hoosier State, a fan of Midwest wrestling. Do yourself a favor. Take 10 seconds, go over and like this page. You're going to get information. I do show prep on Sam's page literally before every show. There's stuff about our show that I don't know that Sam can shine lights on. Sam routinely is a DM that I send. We probably talk once a week. I'm asking you information about wrestlers because I just don't know them. I don't have the time to go and watch that stuff. And I'm more focused on putting together a good show, and I just don't have time to sit down and watch 15 wrestling matches. I got to watch, you know, I got a lot of stuff to watch, and then I've got 3 hours of homework every night with kids to do too. So I thought my 7-year-old was in bed, and he just walked up the stairs and I also have a lot of kids. Hey, buddy, Mikey, you need to go downstairs. Well, just take your charger and go downstairs, okay?
Yeah, I talk with you all the time, and Gary, I probably talk to Gary maybe once a week, maybe 3 times a week, maybe. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great to have that resource. So, I do get routinely people, and please keep doing it. I love it. People that direct messaging me questions about the show or tickets or wrestlers. I love it. And then generally I'll have the information, but on this show I like to be able to go a little more in depth and know a little bit more about the wrestlers. So sometimes I got to go to Sam, or there's a couple other people I can reach out to that just have a knowledge and a memory that I just can't have. I gotta store vacuum truck prices in this brain, not to. Sometimes wrestlers get lost. So, anyways, who are you taking in this? Are you taking Shooters or Original Sin?
Oh, Shooters. Yep.
You know what? I'm going to say that Original Sin comes in, surprises everybody. I think Miles and Freddie are going to struggle to get stuff together, going to struggle to be on the same page.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, but Original Sin's not a tag team that you can come in at 85% against. You need to be at 105% to beat Original Sin.
True.
And I just don't think Freddie and Miles are at that point. So I'm gonna take Original Sin on that. Now we move into I feel bad because this guy, I got to figure out who's gonna watch my kid at the next show. Every time I brought my son down before, Jason Wild has watched my son. Everybody knows when wrestlers break in, they got to do green kid stuff. And my son comes down to the shows with me because he loves wrestling. And Jason has watched my son the last 3 shows I've been at. And I believe Uncle Sam Mitchell's going to be sitting with Mike at this show. That's how it's going to break down. But I'm super excited to see Jason. This will be the first show I've been at. Like I said on the last show, losing my father-in-law and my grandpa, I just spent a lot of time at hospitals over the last 4 months and just couldn't be at wrestling shows, couldn't be Max, couldn't be who I needed to be. So it was better to be home. But I'm super excited to see the kid that was hanging out with my son and making sure he got, was safe and got to the bathroom and got back. And when John Wayne Murdoch and those guys started spilling into the crowd, he's like standing in the way. Jason might be one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. And his trainer's a dickhead. He's a Dale Patrick's guy. Again, another one of the nicest people you've ever met. So he's coming out of a great camp.
Yeah.
Jason's done some shows with us before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I believe New Blood 2? And I really wish I could have been there. Unfortunately, I had to work that night. That was one of his first matches, and like you said, he is a great guy. I love Jason. I talk to him all the time in the back. Also know he is a huge deathmatch fan. So hopefully one of these days
think we'll
he can
see
get
him
in
in death matches. He was already at the first show I came to, so it would have been Fallout.
Yep.
He and I spent a lot of time talking, and he goes, he was cleaning up after one of the death matches, and I went and bought him a bottle of water and was talking to him, and I was trying to get Mikey to just kind of calm it down a little bit, and I'm like, is he bothering you? And he's like, no. And Mike was kind of, I think, even helping clean up. And he's like, man, I just can't wait to do this. I'm like, wrestling? He goes, no, death matches. And I'm like, oh, that's good because Jason's a decent looking kid. He's got a decent body on him. He's got that long. I love deathmatch wrestlers with long hair. The effect.
I'm not the only one.
No, the effect of that long hair and the barbed wire and the blood gets in the long hair. I mean, blood has a place in my mind, especially with guys like when you close your eyes and think of a Crimson Mask. Most guys, I don't know how old you are, Sam, but I'm 35. Most guys my age are going to think of Ric Flair. That white hair that's ear length, just covered in blood. Yeah. I love the way deathmatch wrestlers look when the hair gets stringy from getting wet and gets blood sapped in it. It's like when Zandig would really, before the hair started to run back, when he would get it all on his face, and it just tells such a great story. The way they can sell and the anguish you can put with blood and blood clots and stuff in your hair and it across, it's just the story you can tell with that.
Very
is
true.
so great. And ultimately,
Hair.
what's that?
I miss Akira's long hair.
You know what? Akira's one that I think it works because he can work better as like, the old school term blowjob baby face. So the real pretty boy baby face, he can do it better with the short hair. So I like Akira's short hair. My son for probably a year, called him the Red Rooster because of the red streak.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because Terry Taylor's racist as shit and wouldn't tolerate a guy that's, mixed race. So I'm like, yes, you can call him the Red Rooster all you want. Only to piss off a racist motherfucker because I don't. If you're racist, keep that shit from me because I'm not going to deal with it. I'd rather break my hand on your jaw than deal with a racist. So, anyways, as we continue to roll along, we should probably talk about Jason's match. He's got the matchmaker. He's got one of the most insane dudes I've ever met. It can be 150 degrees in the Emerson, and this guy is still wearing a lab coat and steam pump goggles is how I would describe him. And guys, that's not an act. He wears those walking out to his car. Like, that's Vinny Ratlock.
Yep.
The elevator stops far short of the first floor or the third floor. And it probably should go to the 8th floor. A former deathmatch guy that has gotten away from the death matches. God, I'd love to see him do another death match, but I talked to him in the or in the bank parking lot, and he said it's over. But we just need to get Uncle Gary to loosen that checkbook up a little bit more. Maybe we won't pay Sam for his appearance, and we'll get Vinny in another death match. But
I love Vinny, man. He is one of the most kind-hearted people you'll ever meet. He's just so nice, and he's fun to hang out with too. I mean, just hanging out with shows.
Yeah, and I love the comedy style. Do you remember when Beef Wellington and Excalibur were Team Masturbation in Combat Zone?
Get that? Yes, I love.
Well, apparently I'm the only one that remembers that because every time I talk to somebody, they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Who's Beef Wellington?" I'm like, "Well, Excalibur from TV, and Beef Wellington would wear pink pajamas. He did a Tournament of Death. Like, it's not like he's a nobody. I mean, he wasn't a huge name in Combat Zone, but
no, he did. His finisher was it the ass punch? Was that what he did? He'd stand on the top rope, come down and punch him right in the ass as the finisher.
Yeah. Some kid, dude, you know where he went? He's Calgary. He's a Heart Dungeon guy.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
But anyway, I love that comedy style. That comedy style is how I found death matches because I was looking for Beef Wellington and Excalibur stuff on YouTube in probably 2008 or 2009, whatever. And then I found Beef Wellington in whatever Tournament of Death that was. And I'm like, oh, well, this is cool as shit.
Yeah.
Obviously went away for a few years and now I'm back. But between that and Danny Havoc's thing on G4 TV, because I was trying to look for, what was her name? Everybody, Morgan Webb.
Oh.
Those
were the days.
I'm looking for Morgan Webb videos, and I found Danny Havoc's 15-minute True Life. But yeah, Vinny reminds.
Rest in peace, Danny Havoc.
Oh man, that's so sad.
Man, I cried. I'm gonna be honest, I did. That was rough.
Dude, what bugged me the most about that is I remember seeing something he put on Twitter about how sad he was, and I'm like, holy shit, someone needs to talk to this guy right now. I don't know Danny. I never met him. Or I met him once, but
I wish I had the opportunity.
Yeah, but not in a Mark way, but not in a I can reach out to this guy on Facebook and try and get him to talk to me way either. But it was very clear that things weren't good. And anyways, we got to get off of that shit because the last thing I've had too much death in my life lately, and I'm done talking about that. But anyways, Vinny reminds me the style of wrestling he's doing now is so much of that comedy with some hard hitting. I mean, what was his name again? The guy we were just talking about, ZDP.
Hey.
ZDP. He busts him open.
you are, if you see this, please come back.
Yeah, the kid's got a good gimmick, and I heard he cut his hair, got rid of the dreadlocks or the cornrows.
I like that.
Got a little swoop over thing going now. But yeah, I liked ZDP as well. He was a nice kid. One thing I laughed is when the guys come in and think they need to shake my hand because they know they see Dale, they see Drew, they know they got to shake some hands, and they'll come over and be like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm not important. You don't need to talk to me. You know how I got here an hour after call? It's because I don't matter. No one's gonna notice I got here an hour after call." And then Dale grabs me and takes me aside and be like, "Hey, call's 3:00. You need to be here at 3." Like, yeah, those aren't fun calls. Those aren't fun conversations with Dale Patricks. If you're curious, don't piss him off.
Probably not. No, I would.
If Gary says to be at the show at 3:00 and you roll in at 4:30, you got and I was literally walking up the steps, backpack on my shoulder with my son, and John Wayne Murdoch tells my son to go play with his son, and they go, "You need to talk to us." I'm like, probably should have gotten here an hour and a half ago. In fairness, I was watching Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, so
yeah,
it's a good movie. You gotta finish it. Yeah. And I do have a 3-hour drive, so in fairness, I probably left my house before any one of them did. Anyways, man, I gotta stop smoking weed before we do podcasts. It's all there is to it. I'm not going to. I'm definitely not going to. But they would stay on track a lot more. So we got Vinny and Jason. I'm going to take Vinny. Vinny's pretty much undefeated in welcoming these kids in. And I think he's the matchmaker. He's been around forever. There's not anybody out there that can do what Vinny can do, especially these younger guys. And he's in a position where right now he's kind of the litmus test. He's our gatekeeper. You got to get through Vinny. You got to, the big things I look for in a wrestling match is you got to be safe. You got to tell a good story. And you guys both need to walk back through the curtain in the same way. And Vinny will make sure the kids can do that before they can move on and start getting in that talk for anything else going on.
Yeah.
So then we've got we'll skip to this one. And remember the card's not in the order it's going to be in. I just write it down from conversations with Gary and stuff. But then we've got Braden Lee and Josh Crane for the Revolutionary Championships. Now, this is going to be a lot different than the last couple of defenses and how Josh won the title. This is not going to be a death match, actually. That is not good on a microphone if you're curious. You should not bang on the ground. It's really hard on him, actually. And my wife yelled at me for how much I spent on this one, and it was like $40. So
careful.
Should not do that anymore. She was really pissed when she saw me building the tool bench in the garage. She's like, "Where's that from? Harbor Freight? How much is that? A couple $100. Do you think before you spend money, or do you just buy things?" I just buy things. Like, as long as I put that card in and it goes through, we're good. She also figured out this week that when I pull the money out to pay the daycare, I pull an extra hundo out and put that in my pocket. And she goes, "Hey, for like the last 9 weeks, you've pulled an extra $100 out of the ATM to pay the babysitter." And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Where's that out?" I'm like, "There's $900 in my underwear drawer." I have to put it back on Monday. Well, the race car, the AWR Hot Rod needs some things. It's the lifters are a little have some play in them, which lifters should not have.
Yeah.
Lifters should pretty much be snug. If you know anything about motors, lifters, you shouldn't be able to do this with your lifters. So the AWR Hot Rod needs pulled apart, and I pretty much washed cylinder 8 as well. So I got to get the motor tanked, and the AWR Hot Rod's going to need about $900. So it's not going back in the ATM.
I've spent a lot of money on AWR, and props to my wife for putting up with my shit.
Yeah, man, you're sponsoring the podcast now at $100 an episode, which is amazing. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Hey, man, I'd do anything for AWR. You guys know that. Like, y'all are like family to me.
Of course, yeah.
And it's an honor to be on here, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. It was nice to be able to get.
This is one of those dream come true moments,
Dude, that makes me feel really good. Thank you. So let's actually talk about wrestling instead of talking about my race car. So Braden Lee and Josh Crane. Josh is another one of those guys that's kind of shocking how short he's actually, how it's short how it's shocking how short of a time he's actually been in wrestling when you look at it. Because it seems like he's been around forever, and he's been around 5 years.
Yeah.
Or 7 years, somewhere in there. I'm sure he'll correct me later. Dale will yell at me, but
he really has accomplished so much, though.
You want to talk about an amazing human being. I mean, if you guys don't know his story, look it up. The Japanese have flocked to the guy for the stuff he's done with his sisters and stuff. He's one of those. There's very few people in my life that when I meet, I'm like, that's a human being that I don't deserve to like share the earth with, because I'm not quite like, I don't know that I could do that stuff. What he has done for his family and stuff is just amazing. And some of the stories he shared about, I think he put it on Facebook, so it can probably be said, but he woke up on his 18th birthday. Mom picked him up from school thinking he was going to have a birthday party, and he found out he was homeless. I can't imagine that shit. And Josh has done that and still smiles. And Josh has had trips paid for to fucking Japan to wrestle. So,
yep. He really is. He's a great guy. And the last trip that he did to Japan, it was during the pandemic, man. You go to Japan during the pandemic, he didn't even know if he was going to be able to come back home or not. Like, he didn't know. Like, I legit messaged him, and because me and him talk a lot, and I was like, "Are you going to be able to come back home?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, that's to go to Japan during that time to live your dream and to live your childhood dream. That's mad props for that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane what he's done. And I mean, and remember, in Combat Zone, people kind of forget about it, but Josh is the one that was wrestling DJ when Blackout came in and dug the grave and stuff. I mean, Josh has been there. He's done everything.
He has. Still, he always gets pushed to the bottom, and I don't understand why.
I mean, he's not pushed to the bottom here. He's our revolutionary champ, and it's going to be. I don't know a lot about Braden Lee. I'll let you tell us a little bit about Braden Lee.
He's probably in the best shape I've seen him. I mean, physically, my God, he looks amazing. I know that I remember seeing a post about Impact. I think he may have been signed with Impact. I remember seeing a post recently.
Google that.
Somebody shared it, and it was.
Google, I'll look on Facebook.
Yeah. But he's had success.
We need to talk about something real quick. Fallout 3 and 4.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
76.
Ah, come on, man. Come on.
Honestly, though,
Gary's a big Fallout fan. I think he could back me up on that. 3 and 4. Good.
The first one I played was 76, and I kind of played them backwards. So I didn't even know the game existed until 70. I remember I was sitting at my old job, and my boss was like, "Dude, the Fallout trailer launches at E3 today." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep working." And then he's like, "We've got to watch this." And then we watched it, and I'm like, "All right, this looks cool." And I downloaded Fallout Shelter on my phone, played that for a while.
That's fun. Yeah, that's
and
good.
And then I played 76, and then I've worked my way back, and none of them can. If you're playing them linearly or like reverse linearly, nothing can beat 76.
I try to pretend 76 didn't happen, but that's just me personally.
And that's what I've heard is real Fallout fans will shit on me for liking 76 the most.
I ain't mad at you, but yeah, I like the other ones better.
So apparently Braden and I are not friends on Facebook, which, Braden, I'm a cool guy. We should be hanging out. Should spell your name right. Maybe that's why. Oh, no.
He's had tons of success, man, everywhere he goes. I mean, deep in, the Mid-South, he's very successful. I know he's done stuff with New Wave Pro. He's a great athlete, man. Him and, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Raju. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I think so. That's how I always say it. You're probably supposed to roll that R, but I don't ever want to sound like a gringo, or I don't know how Indians say white people, but yeah.
At the AWR Revolution show, those two put on best full match that I've seen in person. Like, it was really 5 stars. It was great. I loved it.
5 stars. It's
a big statement. Yes,
that's a huge statement. I don't know that I've ever seen a 5-star match. I can tell you, I was at a wrestling show the other day, and I saw a negative 5-star match.
Oh.
Dude, there was a wrestler who was apparently making his return. Everybody was very excited. The guy botched every spot. And I'm not saying like he was a big guy that did some aerobatics and stuff. I mean, it's not like it's a little guy that you'd expect to hit that stuff. But if you're gonna do it, you better hit it. And he literally botched every single spot. I was talking to the guy next to me, and I'm like, "So does this guy always botch everything?" And he goes, "Kind of." And the guy who was wrestling had a staph infection on his back, so it was very interesting. Let me tell you, go talent scouting in Mississippi, and you see some weird shit. We'll leave it at that. But anyways, we got Braden and Josh. I don't see anybody taking that belt off Josh. I think when Josh is ready to hand that belt over and say, you know what, I'm ready for Justin. I'm gonna go and try and tame that beast. That's when we'll see the belt come off of Justin. Otherwise, or of Josh. Otherwise, I just don't see that belt coming off. Josh is too well rounded. Josh is, remember who trained Josh? Scotty Vortex.
Younger. Was it Drake?
Well, Drake Younger and Vortex. Yeah, he's a dragon. He was at that academy. At the same time, I've heard different stories, but I do know that Vortex was involved in that training. Although, he's a Drake Younger guy too. I don't know who he claims as his trainer. I think he probably claims Younger, but
he's mentioned Drake Younger, so yeah.
But I mean, Scotty's out of the business, so I think he prefers to keep his name out of guys' mouths as much as he can too. So,
which is Scotty Vortex, man, he was great.
Jeez, Scotty Vortex. I remember when I had the realization that I was watching. Oh, it was probably 2016. I'm watching old Tournament of Deaths. I'm like, Naptown Dragon. Indianapolis is Naptown. Because I thought all the guys were from New Jersey, New York,
Yeah.
Naptown Dragon. Could he be from Indianapolis? And I spelled his name wrong like 3 times because I was high and drunk. And I'm like, and finally I figured it out. And they're like, yeah, he's from like Greenwood. And I'm like, no shit, I know where Greenwood's at. So it was kind of cool. And like the same week I discovered Marcus Crane. It was a big week for me to find a guy from Chicago and a guy from Indianapolis. Big week for me. I give Braden a lot of love. We're doing some scouting for the show and stuff. I watched a lot of his YouTube videos. Guy's really, really good. He's another guy that if I had to make a list of 5 names on here that won't be at AWR in 3 years, because they're going to be on one of the big 2 that are on TV on Monday and Wednesday nights, he's one that'll probably be on that list. That being said, you've got a different beast in Josh Crane that I don't think you can, I watched the guy do a barefoot thumbtack match against one of his best friends like last summer.
The stuff that him and his buddy do with each other is just nuts. I mean, the stuff that I've seen them two do together, there has to be a lot of love behind that. You have to love somebody and respect somebody a lot to do that kind of stuff, I
don't think I love anybody that much. If my 7-year-old's like, Dad, I need to put your foot in thumbtacks, I'm like, man, fuck you, dude. Yeah, you're on your own on that one, brother. But yeah, it's insane what Josh has been through in his personal life and in everything else. And Josh, if I hope you're listening to the show, dude. I truly look at you as a hero. And I can't wait to watch you on the 28th. Let's circle back real quick, just because we might have some new listeners coming in. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. We are talking the AWR show on the 28th of February. Doors at 4:30, bell at 5. Tickets are $20. VIP is $40. Something I forgot to cover. We're doing the original plugs. IWTV-AWR Life for 5 free days. And if you convert, which is very important, the first 5 days we don't get shit. But if you convert to a membership after those 5 days, you help put money in the wrestlers' pockets at AWR.
Yep.
You help put money in Gary's pockets, and you help keep this space handsome. This is a lot of work. There's products going into this. I don't wake up in reflection perfection. It takes 3-4 minutes. I mean, every now and then, a razor sees his face. Not that often. But, and then we're also, we're working on getting shows uploaded all the time. Gary and our IT staff and the ring announcers, those guys have been working hard. The play-by-play guys, the color guys, they've been working insanely hard on getting stuff up. I give them a pile of crap in a podcast, and they make that look good every week. So I keep them busy. And then also go to asylumwrestlingrevolution.com. You got to spell it all out. It's ASYLUM, wrestling, REVOLUTION.com. It's our website. You can check out a lot of the merch is there. You can get a Chronicles of the Asylum shirt. Still wanting that Team Thick shirt that Dale wore a few months back. I'm not fat, but I got my winter weight on right now. I've actually lost 40 pounds in the last year, so I'm team not quite as thick anymore. I'm doing the Bud Light and cigarettes diet. If you're curious, it's way better than Slim Fast. And I lost 40 pounds with it. So, but yeah, in all honesty, if you like independent wrestling, if you like deathmatch wrestling, if you like strong stuff, Big Japan's on there now. All Japan's on there. For it's $10 a month.
Yep.
For $10 a month,
every penny.
You can watch so much wrestling. There's I know lots of guys like to watch lots of girls wrestle. Lots of ladies wrestling on there, gentlemen. Watch that for an hour, buzz over to Pornhub, buzz back, whatever you got to do. And Mom, that's for you, Mom. Watch some of the boys, buzz over to Pornhub, buzz back, whatever you need to do. I'm not here to judge. Just flip the cushions over if they get wet. It's so gross. It's so gross. Why do I make those jokes? I gross myself out.
IWTV, that really helped a lot of wrestling fans during the COVID time when it first happened. Like during lockdown and stuff, that's all I did was watch IWTV.
Dude, I didn't get locked down. I'm essential, unfortunately. So I worked every day. But yeah, I bought IWTV and Flow Racing. So I've been watching a lot of sprint cars, a lot of late models, and then a lot of wrestling. And my wife is like, "So what are we not watching tonight?" I will be watching this great Big Japan show from 1997 with English subtitles, and you'll be playing on your phone, bored and annoyed. However, weird sidebar: if you have enough Japanese wrestling on with no English commentary, your 2-year-old will start speaking in some Japanese. So you need to watch that. Because she was definitely she was saying Chagalin, which means that's so or that's not good. I don't know. But our nanny actually speaks Japanese, and was saying that she's saying real Japanese words. Watch a lot of Japanese TV. But yeah, so we got two more matches to cover. We'll get there before the 2-hour mark. And in a little behind the curtain, it's 10:30 at my house, but it's 11:30 at Sam's house. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. I started my morning in Louisville, Kentucky, and am home outside of Chicago in the Central Time Zone. Sam works all day as well, and all I have to do is drive and talk to people. Sam has a real job where he has to do hard things. I just have to drive my truck and listen to podcasts. So I am going to try to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes or so. Sam, I apologize for keeping you so late tonight.
Hey, good, man. Like I said, I could talk about AWR all night long.
Yeah, I tried to talk about AWR, but I ended up talking about 700 things. I'm like the galaxy. I'm like the stars. End up all over the place. So we got Cronus the Berserker and Casey Grim Santos. In full transparency, I don't know a whole lot about either of these guys. I've looked them up on YouTube, seen some stuff. They both look like horses that are ready to get in there and fight. Tell me what you expect and give us a 2 or 3 minute rundown of each of the guys.
Cronus the Berserker started last year. He has his manager, Barnabas Spectaker, I think. I think I may be saying that wrong. Berserker, man, he's awesome. He is undefeated in AWR, never been defeated. Casey Grim Santos, just getting his feet wet, but I've talked to him and he's really looking forward to this match. I know that Cronus is undefeated, but I think if anybody's going to beat it, I think Casey Grim's going to beat the streak. I think he's going to beat it.
So I won some money on the Super Bowl last week betting against the it had been tails for 13 Super Bowls or something. So I bet against the streak. They always say tails never fails, never gonna bet against the streak. I bet heads. I threw $50 on heads. I'm like, let's see what happens. And I made a mortgage payment on that $50 bet. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna break the streak. I'm gonna take Casey Graham Santos as well. From what I've seen on YouTube, the kid's gritty as shit, and he's not scared to get in a fist fight.
Nope.
And I think Cronus might be. Cronus is a scary dude that is big and scary, and I don't want to hear him hear this because I'm 6 foot tall and 200 pounds. I'm not big or scary. The last thing I want to have to deal with is with him in the back when I'm trying to get interviews. But I just think that if you're gonna break the streak, it's gonna be a dude that's not scared to go out there and get a fist fight. And Casey strikes me as the type that's not scared to eat 2 or 3 to give one. He's not Floyd Mayweather, where his defense is gonna dazzle you and he's gonna dance you to death. He's gonna get in there and he's gonna punch you in the mouth, make your mouth bleed, make your forehead bleed, make your nose bleed. You're gonna be bleeding from 3 or 4 spots, and you're gonna be like, "Fuck, I'm in a firefight." And I think he's gonna wear him out, and I think he's got the chance to do it. Now, that being said, they say never bet against the streak, and you're taking Casey, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna go Cronus. I'll take Cronus, and you know what? We're gonna put a Pepsi on this. $1.25 Pepsi at Speedway.
Sounds
but the
good.
one on Binford Avenue, because that's where I go to the most in Indianapolis.
Mm.
You know where I-69 ends?
Yes.
3 roads up is Binford Avenue. There's a Speedway there. You'll owe me a pop there.
Yeah.
I have a
Sounds
custom
good.
road.
Cronus, of course, he has the size advantage, but Casey, like you said, is a brawler, but he also does the high flying stuff too. So I think that'll be a cool mix up seeing what they do. So it'll be a good match. It really will be.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm busy commenting some shit on your Facebook at the moment, on your Facebook post, but this is riveting radio. Definitely is. I'm just referring to myself as a dream maker. Nothing else going on. Anyways, so that rolls us into, last but not least, the match I would say I'm the most excited for on the card. There's no, with an AWR card, there's no opener, there's no curtain jerker, there's no anything like that. There's 10 main events. And that's where we get to Aiden Blackheart and Phoenix Kid in a death match. Phoenix said on the podcast last week that he plans on not being allowed on his flight because he's going to be so bloody and beat up. Out of a guy like Phoenix Kid, who has literally almost died in the ring multiple times, for him to say that he's going to go the most wild he's ever gone in his life, he's worth the $20 right there. If you're into death matches at all, to see a kid come up from Dallas, Texas, who's here to prove himself, and he brings a different style of death matches than you've ever seen. I promise, if you've not seen Phoenix or you've not seen Arrow, so Arrow Boy kind of is the same style of the luchador flying deathmatch wrestler. But when we talked to him, he mentioned that he's trained under guys that were in AAA for 7 years. You're going to see things in a death match that you saw in WCW in 1996. He's trained under guys that have learned from LA Park, and from Juventud Guerrero, and you know he's going to have a set of skills that you've never seen in a death match. Plus, he's not scared to like. I've watched him dive headfirst into barbed wire more than once.
Yep.
And he hasn't had a death match in a long time. And these deathmatch guys are a little different. When they haven't done a deathmatch in a while, they feel like they got like too much blood in their body and they need to get it out. And that's exactly what he said. He said he feels like his veins are overflowing. And my 7-year-old's losing his mind downstairs at the moment. 10:30. I'm not being the world's greatest dad that he's still awake. 10:45. Whatever. It's Friday. Dude, when I was 7, 10:45, it was Hercules, or it was Xena, Warrior Princess, and then Hercules, up till midnight.
Yep.
But anyways, back to Phoenix. He said he's like, I feel like my veins have too much blood in them. I need to get out there and bleed. He's like, I'm bringing a mask I don't give a shit about. So if it gets fucked up, I don't care. He won't wear a shirt because I said, are you going shirt or no shirt? He's like, no shirt. Fuck that. He goes, I don't need a shirt. He said, remember Oren Bites back at 400 degrees? And I'm like, yeah, I was at that show. I didn't know who Oren was when he walked out. I remember literally talking to the guy sitting next to me and be like, who's this guy? And he's like, I don't know. They say him from Massachusetts. They must have just brought him out with them. It's Boone Winkler from, Minnesota, but whatever. And then Oren takes that first bump, over. Phoenix said he's going to look worse than that. Phoenix is ready to make a statement in Indianapolis. He knows the Midwest. He knows we're the best in the Midwest. He knows if you want to get anybody else in the deathmatch world's attention, you've got to make it an AWR. We are the litmus test to go anywhere else. And I don't, maybe this is a little braggadocious. Maybe we're not at that level yet, but maybe we will be someday. But I think we are the best deathmatch company going right now.
I believe.
You look at those guys out on the East Coast. There's one company that hangs some chains that's doing a lot of awesome stuff in the deathmatch world. But those guys that, Jersey All Pro, they've got a new name now, but I can't think of it. But you know who I'm talking about. I'm being coy on purpose. They don't do death matches anymore. They do in 24 hours of wrestling. They did 3 death matches. We are the deathmatch company. If you want to see death matches, we have figured out what Combat Zone did a million years ago to make themselves famous, and that was some wrestling on the bottom, some death matches on top, and that's what you have to do in this world. And bringing in guys, we have routinely in AWR, we have Dale Patricks, we have Madman Pondo now, we have Charlie Cruel, we have Aiden Blackheart, John Wayne Murdoch, Reed Bentley, Neil Cutter, Alex Ocean, Josh Crane. Well, Josh is so much more than just a deathmatch guy. I'm talking about our deathmatch guys. Akira, Raven Havoc. This is a deathmatch company. If you want to come in here as a deathmatch wrestler, you better be fucking sharp. We are, in my opinion, we are the deathmatch company in the mid. We are the deathmatch company in the Midwest. There's no debating that. And we are the best deathmatch company going right now. And I'll put us against anybody. You bring 5 of your guys, we'll bring 5 of ours. And I guarantee ours are left standing. And I mean, with the most handsome man in podcasting, bringing the story along, you can't go wrong.
Exactly.
And now that we got Sam to actually tell me who the real wrestlers are, life will be a lot easier. But yeah, so
with AWR, like you said, it is the best place to see death matches because, other places in Indiana, you don't get to see death matches. Only at AWR. At the Emerson.
Every one of our shows at the Emerson Theater, every one of our shows is going to have death matches on it. We're going to have other stuff. But Combat Zone at their highest point did too.
Yep.
Those guys out east always did. You've got to have other stuff on there. You've got to bring other people in. Deathmatch isn't going to just bring the fans in. I mean, once a year for a tournament, sure, people are going to show up. People are going to come in from out of town, but you have to have other stuff on a show. And that's Gary and the other owner who does not want his name said, so don't say it. That's where their brilliance shows up. They know how to book a card that keeps deathmatch fans that are thirsty for blood busy the whole time. It's not like you're at a show where you've got to watch MJF wrestle some guy that you've never heard of. You get get high flying, high risk matches in between your death matches, and that's what it takes. That's what Combat Zone did so well. I mean, I still go back to my favorite card I've ever watched was Cage of Death Elevated. That is my favorite show I've ever seen. Yep. And I think give us a couple more years and we'll be putting on shows better than that every month. And that's high praise. I've seen a lot. I used to watch every WWE card. I watched every TNA card. I had a cheater box, so I watched every pay-per-view. And that's my favorite pay-per-view I've ever seen. It told the best story. And I can tell you with what we got going, guys, you're lucky to be here as we're starting because in 10 years, you're going to tell people, man, I remember going to those shows at Emerson. Now they're selling out the War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, and now they're selling out the Pepsi Coliseum, and now they're selling out the KFC Yum Center. We're going to be doing some shit. And you're going to be thrilled that you were here in the beginning. Gary and I were just talking about WrestleMania plans for next year, and I think we're probably going to be. I hope we're making a splash at Mania next year. If nothing else, you bring a hillbilly like me and Gary down to WrestleMania, you're going to know we were there.
Yeah. That's one thing that I really truly love about AWR is that when you go to one of their shows, you get a very wide variety of everything. You know, you get to see the high-flying stuff. You get to see the technical mat skill wrestling. You get to see the women's wrestling. You get to see death matches. It's literally everything. Like, everything that a wrestling fan wants to see, you got it. And
you're never going to get bored.
No, never. I've been to almost all the shows. There are a couple ones that I did miss, but all the ones that I've been to, not one single bad match of the card. Not one.
And you could shout "sweep it up asshole" when they're cleaning up after the death matches. You know, it's a really good time. And the Emerson Theater is cool as shit too.
Yeah.
Like if people don't realize it, if you Google the Emerson Theater and you look at it, you're like, I don't know. First of all, there's a McDonald's across the street, so food. We've got an alcohol license and a pop license, and can sell pop and stuff. But there's plenty of parking around there, which for Indianapolis, sometimes parking can be a little bit sketch. You know, I used to work for a company in Indianapolis on Sumner. Routinely, I would pull in and have to pay like $12 to park outside of our business because of the way Indianapolis's parking is so fucked. So there's plenty of parking. You don't have to worry about that. And it's an amazing old building. That building is a historical building that's been around since Prohibition. I was talking with one of the referees who was telling me that he grew up down the street, and he said that his dad told him, or maybe it was his grandpa, that building they used to show movies in during the 20s, and they'd have a movie screen set up in the front of the stage, and in the back they were serving beer during the Prohibition era. So that's how cool of an old building you're in. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you know, the east side of Indianapolis, sure, it gets a bad name every now and then, but I've never seen anything bad happen there. And I mean, you've got fucking Justin Kyle inside. I don't think anybody's gonna mess with that shit.
Nope.
You got Sam Mitchell inside. I mean, if nothing else, send Sam outside. That's easy to say. Send Sam outside. They'll beat him up, take his money, and we can all go to our cars.
Hey, I might have a couple tubes or something, you know.
Yeah,
something.
Sam starts going outside. There's somebody breaking into cars. I'm trying to get to my truck to get my AR. Sam's like, I got lights in the trunk.
If you see me, you know there's going to be fuckery brought with me. You know that.
I just think of the story of one stand-up comedian's bit was he's like, yeah, pop the trunk on this car, and his wife's like, what? You're gonna show him a baby seat? Sam's wife's like, Sam's like, hey baby, pop the trunk. She's like, what? I got light tubes. I could just see that. I'm gonna swing some tubes at this motherfucker. And remember,
my wife actually allowed me to take the doors off of our bathrooms to bring to the AWR shows. So if you watch the AWR Welcome to the Asylum show, those are my bathroom doors that John Wayne Murdoch and Akira are hitting each other with.
I have several questions. We're gonna have to divert back here. Sam, so does that mean now when you take a poo, the world sees, or have you replaced the doors?
My wife keeps bugging me and saying, "Hey, when am I going to get my doors? When am I going to get my doors?" Honestly, we don't have a lot of company, so the door's wide open. Those doors went to a good cause, so I'm fine with it.
All right, folks. If you're not taking doors off, I'm not taking doors off of my house. My wife would kill me. But if you're not taking doors off your house, you're not trying hard enough for AWR. Gary literally had a death match in his backyard during quarantine.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's supposed to be public knowledge, but it was at an undisclosed location that looked a whole lot like the shed he tore down the summer before. So my thought is maybe there's a deathmatch tournament in his backyard.
if my wife wouldn't be pissed about it, Asylum Deathmatch Tournament 2 would probably have already happened in my backyard.
How big of a backyard you got?
Big enough for about 100 people or so, and a ring in the middle.
Dude,
But,
so I'm a sales guy, and what I do well is sell things.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to come by the house and talk to your wife. Just explain to her how.
Gary told me that getting glass out of grass and soil is really hard. So
It's nearly impossible, but that's not really
Yeah.
my problem. I won't tell your wife that. Think about it. Glass is really just sand that's gotten really hot. So
Yeah.
over time, that's just going to turn into sand. And does your wife like the beach?
Yes.
So she would like to have sand in her backyard. Well, guys, you know what? We are at an hour and 35 minutes. That's kind of like where I like to keep the show is less than an hour and 45. So let's real quick. Aiden versus Phoenix. Who you got?
Aiden is one sick motherfucker, but I'm gonna go with Phoenix Kid. I gotta give.
You've literally taken every single one of my picks, and I keep having to pick against you so we may get decent radio.
I have talked with Phoenix Kid, and he is ready for anything. Like you said, he wants to go all out, right? I got these rubber, sharp plastic bird spikes, and I told him about them, and he's like, "Let me check them out." Like I got paper tubes on them. I got all kinds of craziness, and he's like, "I'm down." So they're gonna go all out.
Yeah, I don't, and Aiden's not. I mean, if you guys didn't see the show last year or this fall, I guess it was. Aiden took a bump on our I call them like a jersey barrier, but they're not really a jersey barrier. They're like a bike rack that WWE used to use back in the day. Yeah. He took a back suplex off the mat onto that. Well, not super high, still way more than I'm willing to take. And then at that point, his elbow and his wrist touched each other. Somehow his arm didn't break. But one of the sickest things I've ever seen, and he proceeded to wrestle for another 5 minutes. So if you like wrestling at all, this card has something for you on it. For $20 into February, the basketball tournament hasn't started yet. Nothing's going on in Indiana in friggin' February 28th. It's 2 weeks after you forgot about Valentine's Day for your wife, so she's going to be over it. I mean, she'll bring it up in March and in July and probably on her birthday when you forget about it too. But all that other shit aside, there's nothing going on. It's going to be cold. It's going to be gray outside. You might as well come inside and watch a bunch of guys and gals fist fight each other and bleed for you. For $20 or $40 VIP, you can't go wrong. If you can't be there,
it was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
If you can't be there, IWTV/AWR Live for 5 free days. And also check out our website, Asylum Wrestling Revolution. It's ASYLUM Wrestling, REVULTION.com. Tons of great merch and stuff on there. Gary's also working on moving the merch over to the IWTV platform as well. IWTV is $10 a month. And if you can't watch $50 in wrestling a night, you're not even really trying. With my membership, I bet I've watched. I mean, if you look at every card, it's $20 to get in. You can watch 3 or 4 shows. The nice thing is with the features, like I have it on my Roku. You can skip a match if you're watching the match. Like, I'm just not feeling this. You skip, you hit the seek button, and you go to the next match. It's amazing. I remember our show too, February 28th, Merciful Fate 2. It's going to be $20 to get in, $40 VIP. With that VIP, like I said at the beginning of the show, early entry, front row, and a meet and greet. And with, one thing that I really, really like to drive home is if you see something you love at the show, toss that guy $5. Toss that guy a beer. Toss that guy, buy a shirt. These guys, we pay them well, but they also have to get up and down the road. And nothing makes these guys' day better than when you buy that shirt or you buy that hat. That's the majority of how these guys pay their bills. Most of us have a day job. I gotta get some Asylum Deathmatch podcast T-shirts made.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't have to sell vacuum trucks. How many T-shirts do you need to sell to make $80,000? Probably a lot.
That's more math than I could do.
At $4 a T-shirt, I think I need to sell about 12,000 million shirts. Sam, you'll buy them, right? Yeah. I wish I made $80,000 too. I'm just trying to figure out a number that I wouldn't have to work anymore. Anyways, buy the guys shirts, buy them a beer, and the other big thing is I want to circle back and talk about it. Two things. Masks. Don't wear it like this. It doesn't work unless it's like this. Cover your nose. You can still see everything. I wear glasses. Sam wears glasses. If you don't wear glasses, you have nothing to bitch about a mask. Because I get to look at nothing but fog about 70% of my day. Sam knows exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, and the nice thing is if it's hot, then I also get to look at sweat. So wear your masks and be socially responsible. I'm not even going to say social distance because with the masks on, I'm not a huge fan. I don't think you necessarily need to social distance from the people you came with. But be socially responsible. You don't need to be like open mouth kissing everybody you see. Like, what's that guy named Kenneth Peach something? Like you and him probably shouldn't open mouth kiss when you see each other. Just peck on the lips. But
that's my buddy there, man. I shout out to him.
You're gonna open mouth kiss him. I get it. You're gonna open mouth and kiss your buddies. I understand.
He's a good guy. He really is. He's supported the Hoosier Wrestling Alliance page for a long time, and I actually became friends with wrestling. Like I've made friends with a lot of people, so it's really cool.
Yeah, that's very awesome. I wanted to give him. I was trying to slide him in as a little shout out because I know he posts on there a lot and stuff. So,
AW loves it.
Yeah, it's but let's be socially responsible. Let's wear our masks. Let's not give Governor Holcomb any reason to like clamp down on us any more than he is. Guys, I could tell you, Gary and I talk weekly about the plans that are coming for AWR in the next 12 months. And the last thing we want is coronavirus getting in our way. I just saw the list for the Asylum Deathmatch Tournament 2. It's not a tournament you're going to want to miss. Like, literally, the list is on my phone. If I turn this screen on right now, there's information that a lot of people would love to have. It's amazing. The names that are coming in are jaw-dropping. But in order to do that, we need your guys' help. We need masks on, being socially distant. Wash your damn hands if you go to the bathroom. Like, let's not have COVID. Let's not have COVID, and let's not have pee-pee on our hands. I mean, it's normal things.
Yeah.
And let's have an amazing time and scream really loud. And let's try and get Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department to shut the show down because we're so loud inside. So, with that being said, my name is Max. That is Sam from Hoosier Wrestling Alliance. Sam, thank you so much for coming on, giving us 2 hours of your night on a Friday night. My name is Max. This is Chronicles of the Asylum, episode 12. AWR's February 28th. Be there, 5 o'clock.